Hello, it is Nick. Welcome to my channel if you are new here, and welcome back if you've been here before. I hope everyone has been doing well since the last time we talked. So today we're going to touch on a little bit more of a serious subject regarding a huge creator, Lele Pons. You may know her originally from Vine. She then transitioned to Instagram and YouTube, and she's pretty big around the world. She's a Latina content creator, and I wanted to react to and give you some of the thoughts as I watched her Secret Life of Lele Pons, the first episode of the series on YouTube for YouTube Originals. And to be honest, I was kind of reluctant to click on it. I'm not gonna lie. It was at the top of the trending page on YouTube because YouTube obviously pushes their original content, there's nothing wrong with that. It's their platform. They can do whatever they want. But knowing what I know about Lele, or what I thought about her prior to watching this, I actually clicked it for that reason. I clicked it because the title of it was I have severe OCD. I think that was what was on the thumbnail. And to be honest, it did kind of strike me as, okay, I need to watch this because Lele makes humorous, what's some people refer to as comedy, which I'll touch on a little bit later on in my thoughts, videos and content online. And we don't really see a serious side of her. Maybe some of her music, which I haven't really gotten into, but I know that's kind of something she pursues. Maybe that side of hers touches on the more serious side, or the more deep, darker side of things. But I was curious to watch this. So I went in with an open mind, and I knew that no one would use that thumbnail or use OCD if they didn't really have it. So I went in wanting to learn more about her. So here are my thoughts. Make sure to keep watching if you're curious to know what my thoughts are. And at any time, chime in the comment section. I would love to kind of have this as a place for people to come if they have maybe some thoughts that they don't want to leave on her video, because I know I saw mostly positive comments on her video, but I saw one, it wasn't a negative comment, but it was more of a comment of, because every comment was about people saying that they have OCD and they're so glad she's speaking out. So either they're filtering out comments that don't say that, or a lot of people have OCD that are just like flocking to this video, or people are using this video to kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say it, but if you have any of those thoughts, like kind of questioning either the motives or anything like that as you're listening to my video, you can totally leave those comments here. I know on that video they're probably gonna censor those comments, or it's probably gonna get a lot more flack if you say it on that video than on here. So anyways, I'm just gonna get in with my comments, and I'm gonna be very fair here. I'm gonna be honest and about my thoughts on what happened. So first of all, like I said, this whole, and sorry, of course there's a cloud that comes over right now. Anyways, the whole point of the first episode was to touch on her OCD, her obsessive compulsive disorder, which they showed a lot of video of her actually dealing with whatever the actual symptoms she deals with regarding her OCD. And I gotta be honest with you, it is hard to watch. It is hard to watch someone clearly struggling with something mentally that they are trying to work through, and it being a really big struggle. I mean, it's really hard to watch. And clearly she has OCD, so that was like the first thing that kind of went out of my mind, was she faking it or using it as something else? But she's not. So that was the first thing I thought. And as I was watching the whole thing, it really struck me as something to be grateful for as far as the internet goes, as a place for people with really big challenges and struggles with either mental health or physical health, whatever it may be, that may actually be preventing them from getting a traditional job or having more struggles in traditional society. Now have a medium to connect with people and to share their struggles, whether it's mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever, and monetizing it really, and to make a living and also promote a cause and make people feel more welcome in the world. I think that is awesome. That's the first thing I want to say. And I am also happy that she, as one of the biggest content creators out there, really, whether you like her content or not, she is extremely successful she was extremely successful on Vine. Now on Instagram, she's huge, and YouTube, she's huge, and now she's getting into the singing world. She's huge there, and so I'm happy that there's someone like Lele to show people now that we know she has OCD and a mental illness, or mental disorder, I should say. I'm not sure if those are the same thing, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. That is saying, hey, despite all these struggles I have and all these challenges, I'm still successful. Despite all these things, I'm able to push past the fear to kind of just go for it, and even though it's a struggle. And I think that is really, really cool that she is succeeding despite all that. One other thing I want to touch on too, regarding what I really liked about this first episode, is I like seeing her family in more of a real side to her, because we're used to seeing her in a more playful, flippant, kind of silly, physical, like comedy manner of things. That is more lighthearted, made-up scenario skits that to me aren't really like laugh out loud funny. I think they're humorous and they're kind of relatable to some people, and they're kind of scenarios that can be from the outside seem kind of funny or relatable, but they're not really my taste. But I tried not to let that affect kind of what I thought about this first episode of this series. And so those were the really overwhelming positive things I thought of when I was watching this first episode of Secret Life of Lele Pons. I had actually a few, not negative takes, but kind of interesting things that I thought actually were out of place in this first episode. And one thing was, at first in the documentary, it seemed like they were kind of shaping her as a victim. And they did this by showing kind of a lot of what they call hate comments online that she gets a lot of the time. And to me, this actually doesn't help her cause or help her gain sympathy or support, because she's coupling it or using it as a crutch along with something that shouldn't be a crutch for her. And so I think they would have been better off leaving that out. If they would have left that out, people wouldn't even have talked about it and wouldn't have even thought of using that as kind of a weapon against this. And so that was one of the things I thought was interesting, because no matter how perfect you are, whether you have a mental disorder, whether you don't, even though she's admitting that or coming out as having it, she's still going to get those comments, because a lot of them don't really have to do with her per se. It kind of has to do with her work. But as you watch the documentary more, you realize that they kind of go hand in hand. So it's kind of this weird thing I have where I'm like, was that really necessary? But I kind of get why they're putting it in there, because if you already have a mental disorder that is hypersensitive to critique or perfectionism or whatever it may be, which is kind of how they left off this first episode, kind of defining the difference between perfectionist and OCD, then that kind of can make it worse. So that's what it is. We did learn that, I'm not sure if she had mentioned this somewhere else before or if this was a well-known thing with her fans, that in high school she was bullied from what I presume is her OCD or being different, and she found Vine, and that was her outlet to express herself and gain friends and following. And it appears that it had a direct effect on her real life, and actually resulted in her having more friends in her real life, because she was on Vine and people found her videos, and she said she'd always liked making people laugh. So I thought that was really great, and she kind of mentioned in it too that her Vine making was a way to express, or way to how do I say this, fulfill her, or her OCD was implemented in her Vine making, but it was disguised because she could disguise it as, I'm trying to make a really good perfect video. And what she said in this was, even though everyone else thought it was a perfect video, in her head it was not, and she had to do it like 2 or 3 more times or whatever. And so I thought that was an interesting way to kind of tie the two in. And then this is the final thought. If you made it this far, thank you for watching this far, but I wanted to leave this claim for the last part, because I know this is a sensitive subject, and whatever. it's the critique that she in this video or in this series claims is a hate comment, when I don't feel it is a hate comment. I feel it is my truth and how I feel about her content. This is not me saying she's a bad person. This is just me saying her content shouldn't be, I don't believe, categorized as comedy. So in this video, she claimed she never wanted to be a comedian. And to that I say, well, you still aren't a comedian. To Lele, I would say that. And I would say her content more falls along the line of, if it's going to be a comedic genre, it would be physical comedy, meaning you like bang your head against the wall, or you fall into a pool, or over exaggerated movements, or things that like are really exaggerated and kind of extreme. I don't know if I would classify that as comedy. And I think I see from videos I have seen of her, I'm not like a diehard fan where I watch every video, but the ones I have seen of her and a lot of the response videos to her content, to me, don't categorize as hate. It's more of a critique of her content and of a lot of people's content that kind of do the same thing as her, and criticizing what category it falls under. For instance, on YouTube, she calls herself a comedian, but on YouTube, that her videos are labeled comedy, but really I think they should be more of like sketch, relatable stuff. I don't know if that even is a genre of comedy. Maybe it is now. Maybe she did change the landscape so much, but I know they're under comedy under Instagram. When I think of comedy, I think of like stand-up comedy and like jokes, not like relatable stuff that's kind of humorous and kind of like you know someone who would go through that, or that's something that would happen to you. To me, that is not a genre of comedy. And I think another way of kind of describing her content, if you haven't seen it before, is kind of a physical prank fail video type stuff. And that's something I think she's going to continuously get quote unquote hate comments for, is her content not being comedy. And that's what I've seen a lot of her content is a lot of the quote unquote hate or criticism is centered around. And so that's the only really critique I have of this entire thing, is it appears they could be using this to kind of offset some of that attention that's being put on her actual content, and for kind of the mislabeling or miscategorization of her content, if that makes sense. I will say that I think the singing part of it, which they kind of left off on this episode, is a really great way to go for her, because she can express more serious subject matter, more emotional subject matter, in an artistic way to showcase her talent as a singer. And I think that's awesome. And I think that's actually the way to go, because, God, my nose is so itchy, I don't know why. Because it does that. It gives more substance to her, and it does it in a way that's wrapped in a talent. So I wanted to leave off there. I'm most likely going to watch the rest of this series because I thought this first episode was really good. And I don't know if I'll do a reaction or a thoughts video on it, but let me know what you think. Did you watch the episode? And if you did, let me know what you thought of it. Did you have some of the same thoughts as me? Maybe you didn't, or maybe you have some more criticisms that I didn't really touch on in this video that you would like to express here, because maybe you don't want to express them on the actual video, which I totally understand, because I have a feeling they would most likely get censored anyway. So let me know, and I can't wait. Hopefully you come back and you stay. If you've gotten this far and you liked what I said and you thought it was fair and you would like to hear more from me in the future regarding a wide range of topics, make sure to subscribe to my channel. And if you feel like more people who watch her video need to see this one to kind of give them a space to express more thoughts, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, because that's how more people will see this video that see her video. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to my thoughts related to The Secret Life of Lele Pons, and I will talk to you in the next one. Bye-bye.